20 years since Princess Diana died. Hard to believe. But to William and Harry, she was simply the best mom in the world.
Lied and used fake documents to obtain the interview with my mother.
Hidden for decades in the shadows of royal secrecy, a lost letter from Princess Diana to her beloved son, Prince William, has finally surfaced, and its contents are nothing short of breathtaking. Filled with raw emotion, motherly wisdom, and haunting foresight, this heartfelt message paints a deeply personal portrait of the people's princess, like never before. Why was it kept hidden? What did Diana want William to remember most? Join us as we unveil the powerful words of a mother whose voice still echoes through history. A secret letter, a mother's heart. Imagine stumbling upon a hidden treasure, one that doesn't glitter, but glows with love. That's exactly what happened when a forgotten letter from Princess Diana to her son, Prince William, quietly came to light after being tucked away for decades. No flashing headlines, no royal fanfare, just a simple appearance in an auction catalog, almost overlooked. Yet this small, handwritten note carries a universe of emotion, gently waiting to be rediscovered. It wasn't a speech crafted by palace officials or a message polished for the public eye. This was Diana, raw and real, writing straight from the heart to her son. The words flowed not with royal protocol, but with the warmth of a mother who had seen the weight of the crown and longed for something better for her child. Written during one of the most vulnerable and emotionally turbulent moments of her life, the letter offers a rare glimpse into the soul of a woman the world thought it knew. There were no elegant phrases or formal advice, just honest thoughts, soft hopes, and deep motherly love scribbled in her own handwriting. Diana didn't try to impress. She tried to connect. She opened up about her worries, her dreams, and her quiet wish that her son would grow up with more kindness, more warmth, and far more freedom than she ever had. It's as if she knew she might not always be around. Through that letter, she reached out across time, hoping to leave behind not just memories, but guidance. A mother's embrace preserved in ink. Each word seems to whisper, "No matter what happens, I am with you." This was more than just a note. It was Diana's legacy in its purest form, not in titles or tiaras, but in love, unshaken by status. A love that didn't make noise, but spoke volumes. In a world where royal lives are carefully scripted, this letter broke the silence with truth, and in doing so, it reminds us of the most powerful thing a parent can leave behind. Not riches or reputation, but heartfelt words that live on, lighting the way for a child through the darkest times. While Diana was a mother, and more to her children, she was the people's princess to the entire world, due to her impacts on all parts of the world. Let's dive into the details of Diana, who was more than just a princess. More than a princess. To the world, Princess Diana was more than just a member of the royal family. She was a global sensation. With her effortless charm, timeless style, and endless grace, she lit up every room and dominated front-page headlines. But behind the towering gates of Kensington Palace, Diana wore a very different crown. To two little boys, she wasn't the people's princess. She was simply Mummy, and not just any mother. She was warm, strong, and fiercely devoted to giving her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, a life that felt real, free, and full of love. Diana had no interest in raising her children inside a royal bubble, wrapped in rules and formality. She didn't want them to see the world only from palace windows. Instead, she wanted them to walk in it, feel it, and live it. So she took them on city buses, let them stand in line at fast food restaurants, and cheered alongside them at theme parks, while the world saw her as a glamorous figure walking through minefields or holding the hands of the sick. Her most powerful moments happened out of the spotlight, when she was laughing with her boys, sneaking into their rooms for bedtime cuddles, or leaving them little handwritten notes full of love and encouragement. One of the most heartwarming examples of this was a letter Diana once sent to a police officer who had organized a motorbike show for William's birthday. It wasn't just a polite royal thank you. It was a snapshot of real family joy. At the bottom of the letter, alongside her elegant handwriting, were two playful scribbles, William's and Harry's. Those tiny, messy marks weren't just ink on paper. They were living proof that inside the walls of royal protocol, Diana had carved out a space where her sons could just be boys. In those small, tender gestures, Diana gave the world a glimpse of the mother she truly was: compassionate, playful, and determined to raise grounded young men, not just princes. Her legacy wasn't just found in public speeches or dazzling appearances. It lived in the quiet moments, in bedtime kisses and birthday surprises. And in every way that mattered most, Diana redefined what it meant to be royal, not with rules and ribbons, but with heart. Diana departed the world decades ago, but her legacy lives with the world. Let's dig into the details of one of the areas where her legacy is mostly felt: her heartfelt writings. Diana's legacy in ink. Long after her heartbreaking death, Princess Diana's voice still lingers, not through grand speeches or flashy documentaries, but through something far more intimate and lasting: her handwritten letters. These notes are like soft echoes from the past, filled with deep messages about love, kindness, and bravery. They weren't crafted for fame or attention. They were written straight from the heart, private, personal, and powerful. Diana understood more than anyone how unforgiving the royal spotlight could be. It could dazzle, but it could also burn. That's why she was so intentional about how her sons, William and Harry, appeared in public. She allowed just enough of their lives to be seen to satisfy the public's curiosity, while fiercely protecting their right to grow up away from the cameras. She wanted them to have something most royals never did: freedom to just be boys, to be themselves. Her letters weren't for the newspapers or the world to admire. They were written for her sons, especially William. They were like guiding stars, small reminders of his identity beyond the palace walls. In a world obsessed with titles and duties, Diana's letters whispered something different. You are more than the crown. You are a son, a child, a soul who deserves joy, laughter, and love. When those letters were eventually revealed, the world didn't just see the Princess of Wales. They saw the mother, the fierce protector, the woman who quietly challenged centuries of royal tradition, not with rebellion, but with warmth and honesty. She changed the narrative, not with grand declarations, but with simple, sincere words written in her own hand. In those lines of ink, she left behind something far richer than royal jewels or titles. She gave us a glimpse into what truly lasts: the strength of a mother's love, the importance of being real in a world that often demands masks, and the quiet courage it takes to hold on to your humanity when everything around you feels like a performance. Diana's letters are more than memories. They are lessons, they are treasures, and in them, we find a truth that continues to touch hearts all over the world. It's not the crown that defines a person. It's love, honesty, and the deep, invisible threads of connection we share as human beings. Let's take a quick glance at the details of Diana's life in her early marriage, from giving birth to Williams to her subtle revolution. A princess, a baby, and a silent revolution. On June 21, 1982, the world witnessed the birth of someone special, but it wasn't just Prince William. That day, something even more powerful came into existence: a mother's fierce, unconditional love. At only 20 years old, Diana Spencer became a mother, and in that single, unforgettable moment, her identity shifted. Yes, she was a princess. Yes, she lived in palaces and wore a crown. But none of that compares to the deep, soul-stirring role of being mum. Up until then, Diana's life had seemed like a fairy tale: marrying a prince, entering the royal family, and stepping into a world of tiaras, tradition, and tightly followed rules. But behind all the sparkle was a life of control and constraint, a world where choices were often made for her. Still, when it came to raising her son, Diana chose her own path. She wasn't content to follow the footsteps of past royal mothers who handed over their babies to nannies and kept their distance. She longed to be hands-on: kisses at bedtime, cuddles after tears, laughter echoing down the halls. Diana made bold moves that shocked royal watchers. She chose to breastfeed William, something rare in royal history. She personally picked his name, brushing aside expected traditions. When Prince Charles planned a tour to Australia soon after William was born, everyone assumed Diana would stay behind, as royal wives always did. But not this time. Diana packed up, took her infant, and joined the trip. It was a quiet rebellion, a firm message. Motherhood wasn't something she would set aside. It came first, always. That moment marked the beginning of Diana's quiet revolution in royal parenting. She wasn't just changing how she mothered her children. She was rewriting what royal motherhood could look like. As William grew, Diana kept making choices that shocked the establishment. She enrolled him in a regular nursery school, not some exclusive royal-only institution. And every morning, she walked him there. Just her and her son. No pomp, no grand escort. Onlookers were stunned to see the Princess of Wales doing the school run like any other mum. But that was her goal, to raise her boys as normally as possible. Diana wanted her sons to grow up not with thrones in their heads, but with dirt on their knees, joy in their hearts, and a real sense of the world beyond the palace gates. What was her parenting journey like? Let's find out Diana's mission for her children. A mother on a mission. Diana didn't just raise her boys, she shaped them. Every step she took as a mother was guided by purpose. To her, true leadership had nothing to do with fancy titles or royal crowns. It was about truly seeing people, connecting with them, and understanding their lives. So, she stepped outside the palace gates, literally. Often in disguise, dressed in jeans or baseball caps, Diana would sneak out with William and Harry to blend in with the everyday world. These trips weren't simply a break from royal life, they were carefully planned adventures filled with meaning. She took them to fast food places, amusement parks, and busy streets, not for fun alone, but to give them a glimpse into lives far removed from royal privilege. She wanted them to experience real joy, witness ordinary struggles, and understand people from all walks of life. One unforgettable example was when she took young Prince William to Center Point, a charity for homeless youth. It wasn't a publicity stunt. Diana walked her son into a place where kids his age slept on cold floors and had no parents to tuck them in. She didn't just want him to know about poverty, she wanted him to feel it, to look into the eyes of those affected. In that simple yet profound visit, she planted the seeds of empathy. To Diana, compassion wasn't a soft skill, it was a duty, and she wanted her sons to grow up wearing that sense of responsibility like armor. Royal status wasn't a shield from the world, it was a call to serve it, with humility and kindness. Even at school, Diana stayed present. She picked schools not for their elite reputation, but for how they nurtured the boys as individuals. She didn't delegate the parenting, she spoke with teachers, attended school plays, and even handwrote thank you notes to staff. Notes that some people still treasure today as symbols of her warmth and sincerity. As her marriage with Prince Charles fell apart in the public eye, she clung fiercely to what mattered most, her sons. While cameras chased scandals, she stayed grounded. She was the mom cheering loudest on sports day, sharing laughter with other parents, and making sure her boys felt loved, not labeled. Then came the 1995 interview with Martin Bashir. Diana broke royal silence, revealing not only her personal struggles, but also her heart as a mother. More than 22 million people watched her courageously speak her truth. Her message rang clear. She wasn't raising princes to live in ivory towers. She was raising men with heart, humility, and a deep sense of humanity. In that moment, her quiet defiance became something greater, a revolution in royal parenting. Despite being intentional in her parenting journey, she suffered a difficult relationship with her husband. Let's dig into the details of her love problems. Love without a crown. In 1996, Princess Diana's marriage to Prince Charles officially came to an end. Along with the divorce came the loss of a title, Her Royal Highness. On paper, it was just a change in status. But to Diana, it struck a deep emotional chord. Stripped of a title she once held, she now faced the bitter reality that one day, royal protocol might require her to curtsy to her own sons. Still, Diana was never a woman obsessed with titles or status. What mattered to her was love and truth. She once shared her pain with her eldest son, William. His response was simple, but filled with tenderness. Words a mother would never forget. He told her not to worry, that when he became king, he'd return the title to her. Whether those were his exact words or not, what truly mattered was the promise behind them. A son's unwavering devotion to his mother. That small moment revealed a bond between them that no crown could measure. Once her royal duties were behind her, Diana turned her attention to something far more meaningful: people. She didn't show up at charity events to smile for the cameras. She showed up to change lives, whether it was shining a light on the horrors of landmines, comforting those battling HIV and AIDS, or drawing attention to homeless youth. Diana stood where few dared. She hugged AIDS patients when others kept their distance. She walked boldly through active minefields to raise awareness. She spoke up when silence would have been easier. In stepping away from the palace, she stepped into her full power. Her compassion, once bound by royal expectations, now moved freely, and the world felt its impact. Through it all, her heart remained anchored to her sons. In letters to close friends, she often shared snippets about William's gentleness, Harry's boundless energy, and the dreams she carried for both. She didn't just want them to grow into kings or figureheads. She wanted them to grow into kind, grounded, thoughtful men. She knew the world's gaze could be cruel. She knew the pressures of royalty, but she believed her true duty was not to shield them from life's storms, but to teach them how to face those storms with courage and the comfort of knowing she was always with them. When Diana died in 1997, the world wept, but her story didn't end. Her legacy lives on in William and Harry, in their compassion, their choices, and the way they father their children. Diana was born into nobility, but her most lasting crown wasn't made of gold. It was made of love. Raw, real, fearless love, etched into the ordinary moments of motherhood. She didn't raise princes for a fantasy. She raised men for reality. Unfortunately, Diana's death left a vacuum in her sons' lives. Let's find out how one of her sons was affected and his quest for healing. A motherless prince's search for healing. In this emotionally charged account, the memory of Princess Diana looms large. Even in her absence, she is a powerful presence shaping the life of her son, Prince Harry. Throughout the story, Diana's influence is deeply felt, especially in the prince's desperate attempts to reconnect with the mother he lost so tragically. Harry refers to her tenderly as Mummy, a word that captures both his affection and his lingering pain. He visits a woman believed to have psychic abilities, hoping she might help him reach out to his mother from beyond the grave. As part of this emotional search, he arranges for a driver to take him through the Pont de l'Alma tunnel in Paris, the very place where Diana lost her life in a horrific car crash in 1997. His journey is meant to bring healing after a decade of unrelenting pain, but instead it deepens his sorrow and sense of loss. Later, he retraces the same path through the tunnel with his brother, Prince William. Together, they reflect on the official explanation of the accident, finding it unconvincing and, as Harry bluntly puts it, an insult. Rather than offering closure, it only opens up more questions, fueling their suspicion and grief. The tragedy of Diana's death created a lasting rift between Harry and his father, now King Charles. Harry painfully recalls the moment his father sat on his bed in Balmoral Castle to break the heartbreaking news. Without so much as a hug, that emotional distance left a mark. So did the haunting walk behind his mother's coffin, where, surrounded by crowds reaching out in sorrow, Harry felt a strange numbness and couldn't bring himself to cry publicly. Even years later, Harry dreamt of his mother's return. He imagined her in disguise, wearing a blonde wig and dark sunglasses, maybe watching over him from the shadows. "Perhaps she'll show up this morning," he once thought, hopefully. The arrival of Camilla, now Queen Consort, stirred unease in young Harry. Fearing the arrival of a wicked stepmother, he was resistant to the idea of anyone else taking his mother's place beside his father. Harry also opens up about his troubled youth, how fame and public scrutiny shaped him. At 17, he began experimenting with drugs like cocaine and lost his virginity in an open field behind a pub to an older woman who treated me like a young stallion. Amid the chaos of royal life, military service in Afghanistan brought him a strange sense of relief. Free from titles and protection, he cherished the normalcy. He reveals he killed 25 Taliban fighters, not with pride or regret, but with stark honesty. What do you think about Diana's lost letter and her absence in her sons' lives? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.